Why is bullying not the sixth love language? We have five.
Not long ago, a video came across my FYP of a content creator who I will tag him below. And if you are not already following this guy, go check out his page, check out his content. This guy is absolutely hilarious. And if you're like myself, who remembers the stuff he's talking about, well, that makes it all the more special. Yes, but I digress. In this particular video, he was talking about his feral and fabulous wife and how she had made the comment to him that without a hat and sunglasses, he looked like Cousin It's redneck cousin. And he followed that statement up with, if alcohol and insults are not part of your love language, well, I feel sorry for you. Now, I can honestly say that alcohol was not part of the love language between my late husband and me, but there was definitely a lot of teasing, a lot of banter. We talked a lot of sugar honey iced tea. That's just the only way to describe it. Sugar honey iced tea. I had developed chicken pox in my early 30s. And yeah, and of course my two older kids were, toddlers. One was a toddler, the other was a preschooler, and having never had this before, I so lovingly passed it along and shared it with them. Ira loved to remind me of that, but he also liked to say that he was gonna see about getting me a job at the local fire station. Riding in the front seat. The Dalmatian. Just call me Pongo. But of course, not to be outdone, when he had his first amputation, and he would make jokes about how once he learned to balance a tray without spilling, he was a shoo-in for a job at IHOP. And so being the good wife that I was, the day that he was to come home, I was at the grocery store. Guess what I happened to see in the freezer section? Frozen meals, entrees, breakfast goodies, you name it, all from IHOP. Guess what made it their way from the shelf to the cart to my freezer? Yeah, you guessed it. Said frozen yum yums. And so when I went to pick him up, I said, guess what I brought home? And he looked at me, you didn't. And I just looked at him, but what, honey? There was another time I had to get stitches because at that time I was a sales rep for a company called Anderson Merchandisers. I was a vendor for Walmart. I serviced 3 stores, books, children's books, videos, and music. And on this particular day, I was in the back. I was breaking down a cardboard display. I think it was of videos. I was breaking down the display. My box cutter slipped, took out a vein. I needed to go to the ER, had to get stitches. And the way they bandaged my finger up, my hand looked like one of those foam fingers that you see at the sporting events, where you're up in the bleachers, the grandstands, going like this. So good old Iro would say that he was going to take me to the airport and see if they'd let me guide the airplanes in. And then after his second amputation, he was a double amputee, had 2 prosthetics, one above the knee, one below. And we were at a family reunion on his side. We were out back. There was a fire going. And I said, hey, don't get too close. You'll catch on fire and burn to the ground. And he gives me this look like, just this feigned look of shock. But this was, this was the stuff of our everyday life. It really was. There was this and a whole lot more. But at the end of the day, he loved me. I loved him. This was just part of the ways we would show it, part of the ways we would express it. And I miss it. Oh, dear Lord Almighty, I miss it so much. In love languages, And just terms of endearment, they don't always have to be so serious. You know, they can be silly, just downright silly. They can be goofy. They can be playful. You know, none of that has to stop just because we're adults. If anybody needs the goofiness and the silliness and the playful, if adults need that, I think now more than ever. And if you have that, you are way beyond blessed. Hang on to it and savor it. And don't forget to take part in it. It's okay to participate, because I guarantee you, when you no longer have it, you will miss it. And if the other person, if they were to no longer have it, because God forbid, they would miss it. So enjoy. Be silly. It's okay. But it definitely should be a sixth love language. Absolutely.